Leola Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, has said on several occasions that she was beat.
I believe that somebody my niece.
A recently surfaced video, reportedly captured just hours before Whitney Houston's tragic death, has reignited a firestorm of speculation and emotion across the internet. The clip, though blurry and dim, carries an eerie weight. In it, Whitney walks slowly through a shadowy hotel corridor, her legendary voice reduced to a faint murmur. In one hand, she clutches a small object, possibly a mobile phone, maybe a note, or perhaps something more symbolic. Her expression, though calm on the surface, has fueled a wave of contrasting interpretations. Some believe she looks at peace. Others insist her eyes betray a deeper truth, one of fatigue, apprehension, and a silent recognition of what was to.
For the purposes of financial gain for those who have access to her estate, including Clive Davis.
Come. This brief, yet powerful footage has once again pulled familiar names into the public. I'm most notably Clive Davis and Ray J for years. Both have been entwined in theories surrounding Whitney's final hours. The video feels almost like a posthumous message, a subtle plea for the world to take a closer look at the circumstances leading up to that tragic night. Observers have pored over every frame, debating her posture, her movement, and the strange setting of the Beverly Hilton, a place of
her body inside this hotel. So far, police and the coroner are refusing
luxury that became the backdrop for an enduring mystery. Suspicion of foul play, industry manipulation, personal betrayal has never fully disappeared, and this video has poured fuel on those lingering doubts. Ray J, who's believed to be the last person to see Whitney alive, remains a particularly controversial figure. Behind his carefully maintained public image, whispers persist about his involvement in Whitney's downward spiral. Some insiders allege he played a troubling role in her struggles, even going so far as to enable or procure substances she had long battled. One resurfaced interview has
back. He needed her back, but he needed her back and under his control.
Especially disturbed fans in it. Ray J appears to boast about his influence over her, suggesting a level of control that now seems deeply unsettling. Allegations have also emerged, claiming that Ray J may have granted access to an individual who had no reason to be in Whitney's hotel room that night, someone whose presence could change the entire narrative. Was Ray J an unwitting accomplice, manipulated by more powerful players? Or was he consciously complicit in a broader, darker scheme? Either possibility keeps his name central to this haunting chapter. Then there's Clive Davis, the powerhouse executive who discovered Whitney, shaped her into a global icon, maintained a close connection with her throughout her life. His actions on the night of her death have remained a subject of public fascination and criticism. While Whitney's lifeless body remained upstairs in the hotel, Clive proceeded with his high-profile pre-Grammy gala as scheduled. To some, this appeared to be a heartfelt tribute to her memory. To others, it felt cold, perhaps even strategic. The timing, the tone.
Her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobby Christina was present for some of that.
The decision itself, it all raised uncomfortable questions. Clive's relationship with Whitney was far more than professional. He had nurtured her career from the very beginning and had been a steady presence through her turbulent years. But in hindsight, some now wonder whether his actions that night were meant to preserve her legacy or to protect deeper truths. It a final act of loyalty or a calculated effort to keep hidden forces and inconvenient details from surfacing. As the world once again revisits the complexities surrounding Whitney Houston's final hours.
At 3:55 p.m. this afternoon, Whitney Houston was pronounced at the Beverly Hilton.
This newly revealed footage does more than raise questions. It reopens old wounds, challenges long-accepted narratives, and compels us to look closer at the people who surrounded her in life and in death. There was a time when Whitney Houston's connection with Clive Davis was seen as inspirational, a mentor, protege bond built on trust, talent, and mutual success. But recent allegations have cast a long and troubling shadow over that narrative. Whispers have emerged suggesting that Clive
I believe that there are several people that wanted Bobby Christina, but I think the purpose of her was to gain full access to Whitney Houston.
exerted intense control over nearly every aspect of Whitney's life and career. Now, questions are surfacing about whether that grip extended all the way to her final moments. Is there something more? Someone Clive wanted silenced. The speculation is relentless, and the truth remains elusive. What makes this narrative even more chilling are the haunting similarities between Whitney's death and that of her daughter. Bobby Christina, just 3 years later, both were discovered unconscious in bathtubs, surrounded by eerie and unexplained circumstances.
Training in music.
None.
Did you think you'd be good at this?
I never thought I would have a musical ear. I never thought I'd have a natural gift.
The odds of these tragedies occurring by sheer coincidence are staggering, prompting some to believe a darker force may have been at work. Conspiracy theories abound, with some even accusing Clive of engineering both deaths, claiming he stood to gain in unsettling ways. Fueling these suspicions is outspoken singer Jaguar Wright, who has become known for lifting the curtain on the entertainment industry's darkest corners. In a viral video, she made explosive allegations, claiming Clive didn't just stand by during Whitney's struggles, he actively played a part in them. According to Jaguar, both
A very special connection with artists, with music. I certainly know I had it.
Whitney and her daughter were targeted in a strategic effort to control and exploit them. Critics dismiss her words as speculative, but others see an unnerving pattern in the details. Then there's that Grammy night, a jarring juxtaposition etched into the public consciousness, as news broke that Whitney had died just floors away. Clive Davis,
To me, any meeting I had with her, any interchange I had with her, she was on top of.
went forward with his party, raising champagne flutes among industry elites. Was he truly honoring her memory, or celebrating the successful execution of something far more calculated? Was this about legacy or leverage? Compounding the suspicion is footage recently
She said she was in denial on that occasion. And she said it's not as serious as you make out.
uncovered, allegedly showing Whitney mere hours before her death. In it, she appears agitated, clutching a mysterious object. Was it a phone? A letter? A desperate attempt to communicate something urgent? Some believe it could have been her last cry for help, warning she knew time was running out. But what if this wasn't just a story of personal demons or misfortune? What if Whitney had uncovered something explosive? Jaguar Wright has alleged that Whitney discovered millions missing from her finances shortly before she died. She was, according to Wright, preparing not just to leave her label, but to expose.
With some things of adversity and getting through it was the
Massive discrepancies. Such a revelation would have rocked the foundations of the music industry and placed powerful figures like Clive squarely in the crosshairs. Was silencing her the only way to prevent a catastrophic fallout? There are long-standing whispers about secret clauses in celebrity contracts. Death clauses that ensure artists from massive payouts if they pass unexpectedly. Or if there's any truth to those rumors, then Whitney's death may not have been just. A lawsuit may have become a windfall. After her passing, Clive Davis's empire flourished. Her music catalog surged in value. Posthumous releases brought in immense revenue.
On this stage, I think I may never sing again.
I never thought I wouldn't. I couldn't. I just didn't want.
Was this just business or something orchestrated? Behind closed doors, insiders speak of hidden vaults allegedly maintained by Davis archives of unreleased songs, footage, and perhaps more damning material. If Whitney stumbled upon evidence of deeper exploitation or manipulation, it might explain why she suddenly became a liability to those once closest to her. Her behavior in those final months suggests she was ready to fight back. Reports say she was preparing a major comeback, not just musically, but financially. Whitney wanted control. She was considering releasing music independently, bypassing the very system that had profited from her pain. Such a move could have rewritten the rules for legacy artists. threaten those who'd relied on her compliance. All these elements swirl into a disturbing mosaic. Whitney Houston was more than a star, she was a symbol. But what if that symbol became too powerful for those in control? What if her independence, her knowledge, and her timing sealed her fate? The story, for many, remains unfinished. The questions only multiply. And as the veil slowly lifts, one thing is certain.
Live the life of fame and fortune and being in the, tabloids all the
Way
time.
of surfacing, no matter how deeply it's been buried. Once hailed as one of the music industry's most inspiring partnerships, the bond between Whitney Houston and Clive Davis was long portrayed as one of mutual admiration, an iconic star guided by a visionary mentor. But that perception has been shaken by recent claims suggesting a more controlling, perhaps even ominous, dynamic. Quiet yet persistent murmurs now allege that Davis exercised tight control over nearly every aspect of Whitney's career and, perhaps even her private life. Some wonder if that control reached beyond
I want the world to know that Bobby Christina did not from the bathtub incident. That's not what Bobby Christina.
What Bobby Christina?
Bobby Christina was starved to
professional decisions and into the most tragic chapters of her story. Was there something Whitney saw or knew that posed a threat to those in power? The circumstances of her passing remain shrouded in mystery. It's made all the more disturbing by the eerie similarities to her daughter, Bobby Christina's death, just a few years later. Both were found unconscious in bathtubs, surrounded by unanswered questions and speculation. The statistical unlikelihood of these parallel tragedies has led many to believe they weren't just isolated incidents, but rather signs of a much more sinister pattern. Fueling these suspicions are statements from
who swears to God that he loves my niece, but yet you drag her up the steps, you pull her by her hair, you pull her by her hair and you punch her in the face and you knock 2 of her teeth out of her mouth.
Jaguar Wright, a vocal critic of the music industry's hidden machinery, who claims Whitney and her daughter were both deliberately exploited and ultimately eliminated for knowing too much or refusing to play along. In a video that quickly went viral, Wright alleged that Clive Davis wasn't simply a passive figure during Whitney's well-documented struggles. He was a central actor in a calculated campaign to control her. According to Wright, both mother and daughter were victims of a long game of manipulation. While some dismiss these accounts as conjecture, others find it difficult to ignore the repeating details and chilling consistency of events, adding further fuel to the speculation is the haunting contrast that played out. On the night of Whitney's death, just as the world learned of her passing mere floors above, Clive Davis carried on with his annual pre-Grammy celebration. Guests clinked glasses and posed for photographs, while Whitney's lifeless body remained nearby. Was this truly a gesture of remembrance, or was it something far more unsettling, a display of dominance or detachment?
Always assumed a far more active role than most record company presidents. That's why he was a pioneer in the 60s. It's also why he has survived into the 80s.
Tightly in her hand. Some believe it could have been her final attempt to send a message or cry for help. Others suspect she had become aware of serious discrepancies in her financial records. Jaguar Wright has claimed that Whitney discovered large sums missing and was preparing to confront her team and potentially leave her label. If true, such a move
is unique, music is special, music has a very individual, meaningful role in society, not only to you.
Could have appended powerful interests and triggered desperate measures to prevent her from speaking out. There have long been whispers in the entertainment industry about the existence of so-called death clauses in artist contracts, insurance policies that benefit companies in the event of a performer's untimely death. If these rumors hold any truth, then Whitney's passing may not have simply been a tragedy. It might have resulted in massive financial gain for those tied to her career. In the aftermath, Davis's influence only grew, and Whitney's music brought in posthumous revenue on an unprecedented scale. Some insiders claim Davis maintains private vaults filled with unreleased material and hidden documentation intimates Whitney may have accessed in her final days. Her behavior at the time suggests she was preparing to reclaim her autonomy. Reports hint that she wanted to launch an independent project, one that would have allowed her to control her own narrative and earnings. Such a bold shift would have threatened long-standing power structures and forced industry leaders to reckon with the very artists they had once controlled. All these pieces, taken together, form a deeply unsettling picture. Whitney Houston was not only an unparalleled